know, today we gave a presentation on kind of historical Disneyland. We have a lot of fun with it, and I had a surprise at the end where I knew they were going to show me in the Dreamfinder School of Drama from the old Journey in Imagination. I had to act like I was surprised. So all during the show I'm thinking, am I going to look surprised by this? I'm going to look like I'm faking. And then after that was over, I thought we were done, but then they actually surprised me by Tom Staggs coming out and not only congratulating me and showing me a very tear-jerky look at some of the projects I have worked on and my childhood, and then he honored me by telling me not only am I getting the Legend Award tomorrow, but I am going to get a window on Main Street. So it was totally 100% a surprise. So I went from faking surprise to actually being totally surprised. I know the people that normally do the windows on Main Street. So after the presentation was over, they said, "You tell Kim and all of her crew not to tell anything to Tony about it, but I'll see how successful I am over the next few weeks to pull that out. I'll probably get some inkling of it." Well, I think what is neat about this WDI exhibit, it's a chance to kind of renew what Walt did for my generation on TV. Practically once a month in the Disney television show, he would take us back behind the scenes at Imagineering. And we would see the Imagineers at work, and Walt would introduce them. So I knew that who Claude Coates was, who Mark Davis, who John Hench was. They became almost stars. And like Hollywood, I think we all know our great composers, and we know our great actors, our great directors, and everything. And it was really neat to kind of celebrate Imagineering. And so here today, you're going to meet a lot of people I've worked with, my peers. I've been lucky. I'm pretty obvious. Maybe I get in just under the wire. I started to work with Mark and Claude and all the first generation group. But the younger ones are just as talented, and this is an opportunity for you to all meet them and find out who they are. So you can see there's a line here that's probably about 2 hours long, so a lot of people I think are very curious about what we do, and this is an opportunity to not only see what we do, but who doesn't. Technology has always affected the Disney products, you know, both from film and in the parks, and we've always been ahead of technology. I don't really want to single out social media. That's one aspect of where we're going technically. I think as long as the technology is invisible, it can be incorporated into the parks. I think where it becomes intrusive, you've got to watch out for it, because what that says to me is if we get to a point where people would rather be texting or using their social media while they're at the park, then the park attractions need to be ramped up and be more commanding. Because if you go to a good movie, the only time people are texting is before the movie starts or if it's a bad movie, you know? And so you want to create and continue to create attractions that so far exceed the pleasure you derive from social media that it really becomes a way of just sharing how blown away you are. That's where I see it, that if you create a land like Cars Land and you cannot believe anybody built that rock work, and you're taking pictures and you're telling everyone you're not going to believe how cool this looks, that's the proper use of social media. I think activating a pirate, which we could easily do, so you could sit there and type in a code and get one of the auctioneer to single you out with your name, I think that becomes intrusive into you getting lost in these adventures. And the proper thing would be to make sure the pirate ride is as exciting for a kid growing up in 2013 as it is or was for my kid self growing up in the 60s. I think the major change in the way attractions were developed when I started and prior to my being there, they were very linear and non-participatory. In other words, you sat there and you enjoyed it, you were drawn through by a pod or drawn through by a boat, and you vicariously enjoyed the action that was going on, whether you were there or not. And when I looked back, I think some of the early dark rides were actually in some ways more advanced, because on a dark ride, you open the doors to Peter Pan or the Wendy's bedroom and it's, come on everybody, here we go, and you were drawn in and the things happen to you. And so I think the turning point for me was Indiana Jones, which did two things. One, the ride vehicle is a lot more interactive. You experience the feelings of that adventure because of how the vehicle responds. sort of like how you use music or lighting in theater. Now here's a vehicle that can recoil at a snake and can do things like that. It can do different things each time you ride it. So you go, well, the last time we rode this, it didn't stop there. And so it makes it more unpredictable. So that aspect really helped us, I think, move out of just sitting and watching something unfold into something that I think probably the best example is Midway Mania, where you and what happens to you in the ride is really a product of how well you achieve interacting with the experience. So I think that's sort of where things have moved a lot in the years that I've been here.